let's just kick things off with what is probably the single most important idea we're going to talk about. You know, when we think about the dangers of AI, our minds immediately jump to sci-fi stuff, right? But the real immediate threat, it isn't about rogue robots. It's about who owns and controls the very infrastructure of intelligence. This one sentence, it frames everything.
Okay, let's dive right in. We are at a pivotal moment. I mean, a genuine fork in the road for our society. The rise of AI isn't just about creating some cool new gadgets, it's actively building two very, very different futures. So today, we're going to explore exactly what those futures look like and the choice that's right in front of us. So here's our game plan. We're going to start by defining the problem, something we're calling the Great Cognitive Replacement. Then, we'll look at the pretty terrifying consequences of a world without work. But, and this is key, we're not going to stop there. We'll then pivot to a really powerful and I think hopeful alternative, check out the tech that actually makes it possible, and then wrap up by framing this critical race for our future. So what is really going on right now with AI and the economy? Because this goes way beyond the classic story of robots on an assembly line. We're talking about a fundamental change in what can even be automated.
This term, the Great Cognitive Replacement, really captures the sheer scale of this thing. See, past technological shifts, they mostly displaced manual labor. But AI is aimed directly at cognitive work. We're talking decision-making, strategy, creativity, even software engineering. This is a replacement on a level we've just never seen, targeting the very skills we always thought made us uniquely human.
And here we are, right back to that opening idea. All the incredible productivity that comes from this automation, well, it's not being spread around. Instead, all the benefits, the money, the power, it's all flowing to a tiny handful of corporations. Why? Because they own the three key ingredients: the massive data sets, the foundational AI models, and the physical computer infrastructure.
And that ownership creates something called a compute moat. Think of it like a giant invisible wall around a castle. It costs billions, literally billions of dollars, in specialized computer chips and electricity to build one of these foundational AI models. So this effectively concentrates the entire future of the intelligence economy into the hands of just a few players, locking out pretty much any real competition. So, if we stay on this centralized path, where does it lead? Let's really explore a scenario that might sound extreme, but it's the logical endpoint of this trend. Let's take a hard look at what a world with mass automation, controlled by a few, could actually become. Just look at that number, 90%. And we're not talking about a temporary recession. We're talking about permanent workforce dislocation. A world where 9 out of every 10 jobs that people do today have been automated away by a machine that's cheaper, faster, and more efficient. What does a society like that even look like?
Well, the consequences are just staggering, and they go so far beyond a lost paycheck. This kind of disruption threatens the very foundations of our economic and social systems. It really could lead to a series of crises, one cascading after another.
You can really break the fallout down into 3 massive existential threats. First, you get an economic crisis, because, well, you have no consumers. Second, a social crisis of purpose. And third, a political crisis that's fueled by an unimaginable level of inequality. Let's dig into each of these.
And this just perfectly illustrates this insane feedback loop at the heart of the problem. A company automates everything to become super efficient, right? But in the process, they get rid of the wages of the very people who were supposed to buy their stuff. If nobody has any money to buy anything, consumer demand collapses, and all those profits from automation, they just disappear. The system literally eats itself.
But beyond the economic collapse, there's a huge human cost. For so many of us, our jobs give us identity, a community, a sense of purpose. If you take that away from 90% of the population, you create this giant psychological vacuum. You combine that with an absolutely extreme spike in inequality between the tiny few who own the AI and literally everyone else, and you've got the perfect breeding ground for social unrest. It's a new kind of class war, only this time it's a fight over who controls the means of intelligence.
So, yeah, that's a pretty grim picture, isn't it? A world of mass purposelessness, economic ruin, all controlled by a tiny elite? It forces us to ask the most important question of all. Are we locked into this path, or is there another way? And thankfully, the answer is a resounding yes, there is another way. There's a powerful counter-narrative to all this corporate control, a future that's built not on centralization, but on distribution and individual empowerment. And the key to this whole alternative future is the rise of powerful open-source AI models. These are models that anyone, you, me, anyone, can download, can tweak, and can run on their own computer. This completely flips the power dynamic on its head. It takes AI out of the exclusive hands of a few corporations and puts it directly into the hands of everyone.
Now, this creates some incredible advantages for you, for the individual. You can run seriously sophisticated AI without paying a monthly subscription fee to some tech giant. You can safely train these models on your own private data to create what we can call a personal AI assistant, or a PAIA, an agent that actually works for you because it learns from your context and it's under your control. The most crucial point here is this: it levels the playing field. It gives a single person the same kind of intellectual leverage as a massive corporation.
But, just having access to the AI models isn't quite enough. For this vision to really work, we need a whole new digital foundation, an architecture that's designed from the ground up to protect and enforce individual control and data ownership. This slide, it really says it all. For the last 20 years, we've lived in a data-centric world. Your data gets sent to a company's server, and they control it. That's the whole model of surveillance capitalism. The alternative is an agent-centric model. Here, you, the agent, you hold your own data and the AI on your own device. You have total sovereignty. It's a shift from being the product to being the empowered owner.
So how do we actually build this? Well, this is where a technology like Holochain comes into the picture. It provides the framework for this new agent-centric world. First, it makes sure that AI processing happens locally, on your device, so your private info stays private. Second, it uses a super efficient peer-to-peer system to make sure data is valid without needing a central server. Third, and this is the big one, this guarantees your data sovereignty. And finally, it allows communities to build their own rules for how they work together, which opens the door for countless new microeconomies.
And all of this brings us to the final and most critical takeaway. This isn't some theoretical debate about a far-off future. Both of these paths, the centralized one and the distributed one, they are being built right now as we speak. We are in a race to see which one becomes our reality.
I mean, the choice just could not be more stark. Look at this chart. The centralized path, it concentrates all the wealth, it eliminates labor, it destroys purpose, and it leads to what you could call a new kind of digital feudalism. The distributed path, on the other hand, disperses wealth, it amplifies what we can do with personal AI tools, and it lets us find new purpose in creativity. The outcome there is a massive expansion of human potential.
At the end of the day, technology doesn't decide the future. We do. Our choices do. The path we take depends entirely on what we as a society decide to build, to fund, and to demand. Which vision of the future are we pushing for? That's the race we're in right now.